In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to replace the Human Touch Super Novo massage mechanism. The first thing we're going to do is power off the chair, then unplug it. Next, we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 6 screws that secure the backrest cover. Once the screws are removed, then the backrest is still attached by 3 clips at along the top edge. So we need to pull out both from the bottom and then using that ledge in the middle, pull out in both areas to detach the backrest from the chair. Now the next step only pertains to chairs with serial numbers with lower than RT2619. On those chairs, we need to disconnect the speaker wire. So we can locate it in there in the upper backrest there and then disconnect them. And they do the same on the other side. Now, if your chair has a serial number greater than or RT2619 or greater, you will not have these connectors, so you don't need to worry about them. Next, we're going to unzip the top of the backrest pad here, just to give us easier access to 2 screws. Okay, then we'll locate the little pocket there and open that, and inside there's a Phillips head screw we need to remove. And the same on the other side. Now you'll note on this chair there's a speaker wire right here. So check to see if there's speaker wire there on each side, and if there is, so disconnect it. If your chair serial number is RT2619 or a higher number, there will not be a speaker connector there. Next, we'll remove the 2 rear screws from the upper backrest. Also Phillips head screws. And we're ready to lift the upper backrest off of the chair. Next, we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 2 screws that secure the metal frame to that plastic backrest frame. And be sure to keep track of where all these screws go, as you'll need to replace them. Okay, and then we have 2 screws at each end of the metal frame to remove. Then we can lift that horizontal metal frame up and off of the chair. Next, we're going to remove 3 screws on each side that secure that plastic frame to the metal frame down the sides. Basically one at the top, the middle, and the bottom. And the same on the other side. Next, we'll use a wire cutter to cut the zip ties that secure the connectors to the metal frame there. So there's 2 of those there, and then there's 2 more that secure the cable that runs up to this blue connector up here, which we will also need to disconnect. There's also some zip ties underneath there, underneath that second from the right motor, and then connecting the harness over there to the right hand motor. Then we need to cut the zip ties that secure each connector, the sides of each connector to itself, so that we can disconnect those 4 connectors. And finally, we need to use a Phillips head screwdriver to disconnect the ground wire from the metal frame. Now we need to gain access to the mechanism from the front of the chair. So the first thing we need to do is unzip the front zipper of the seat pad there. And then open the zipper that is exposed. And zip that up as far as you can. Until that side is detached. Okay, next we need to lift up the seat pad then. And there's yet another zipper in there that we're going to open. And the final zipper in there then, you can see, does not have a pull tab, so we need to use a paper clip to insert that through the little hole, and then we can open that up, which will expose the massage mechanism. Okay, now we have nice, easy access to the massage mechanism. You'll notice this mechanism is actually broken right here. That's why this looks out of alignment. What we need to do from here is to remove these two Phillips head screws and these four 4mm Allen screws. Then we'll remove that bracket that secured that strap to the mechanism. Okay, now we're ready we need to manually move the massage mechanism up and out of the chair frame. And that's why we need to remove those 4 Allen screws. Now we can tilt that rolling motor back to give us access to that flathead screw hole at the top of it. And what we need to do is turn that in order to move the robot toward the top of the backrest. Obviously this will go faster if you have a power screwdriver with flathead screwdriver bit. Once the lower roller of the mechanism then clears the track, then you can lift the mechanism up and out of the chair frame. Before installing the new massage mechanism, we're going to use the 4mm Allen wrench to remove the 4 screws on the back of that rolling motor, just because it's easier to do before you have the massage mechanism in the chair frame. Next, we need to take the wheels, all 4 wheels off the massage mechanism that we removed, as we need to place them on to the new mechanism. Now we're ready to place the mechanism into the track with the robot arms facing forward. And you can slide that down in there as far as it will manually go. Like so. Next, we'll use our flathead screwdriver, inserting that into the top of the rolling motor to move the mechanism down the track. This time we'll rotate it counterclockwise to move it down. And we need to do that until this magnet passes this sensor here. Okay, as we can see, the magnet is past the sensor here. That's as far down as we need to be. Next, we'll come around to the front and resecure the strap to the new massage mechanism using that white bracket and the 2 screws. And then we can replace those 4mm Allen screws. And push back on that rolling motor while we're doing this. Now we can start closing up all these zippers, starting with the one that covers the massage mechanism. Again, you'll need the paper clip for this one. Then continuing with the next short zipper there. Then the side zipper. Then the calf massager zipper. Now we're ready to connect the massage mechanism connectors to the corresponding connectors coming from the harness. Now you'll notice the connectors coming from the massage mechanism are all the same color, white. So you can't color match them like usual. So it's very important to follow these instructions or the written instructions if you're taking those out into the field. And we'll go with the motors from left to right. So starting with the left-hand motor, you're going to connect that to the yellow connector from the massage mechanism harness. And the harness should run behind the metal chair frame there. Okay, the next motor to the right will connect to the red connector. The next motor to the right will go to the blue, and then to the black. So yellow, red, blue, black. Next we're going to connect the blue connector from the harness up to that little board there. Make sure he's fully connected. And then we'll use 2 new zip ties to zip tie that cable and there's a special kind of little tab there that has a hole in it for you to run a zip tie through. There's 2 of those there. So secure that cable to that metal bracket using 2 zip ties. If you happen to not have zip ties small enough to fit, just pick those white special zip tie holders out of there and throw them away, and then thread any size zip tie through the holes in the bracket. Whatever you need to do to zip tie this cable to the bracket in those 2 places. Okay, once we have that cable secured, we're going to go use new zip ties to secure each side of those 4 connectors together so that each connector cannot become disconnected. Okay, then let's cut the excess zip ties. Next, we'll secure the ground wire to the new mechanism frame. Now we're going to start from the right and start securing everything to the mechanism frame. So first locate the spot on the harness. You can tell by the indentation in the harness where it was secured to the right-hand motor there. So we want to secure it in the same spot to ensure that this harness maintains its same shape down here. This is critical. So run a zip tie through the hole that's in the bottom of that right-hand motor and then secure the harness to the bottom of that motor. If for some reason there isn't an indentation in the harness that you can see, which I'm not sure how that would happen, but just in case, observe how this harness comes down like this and then is hanging in a loop. If you pull it down here, you can see it should come down in a loop like this. It's very important that that is routed exactly like that for the mechanism to move properly up and down the backrest. Okay, continuing to the left then, there is another hole in the frame up underneath the second to the right motor that you can thread a zip tie through. Now when doing this, it's imperative that you don't wrap that zip tie around this horizontal metal bar here because that needs to rotate. So simply find the hole in the black metal bracket and secure the harness in the second location. Again, you should be able to see an indentation in the harness of where that was secured. Next, we're going to make sure the rest of the harness is positioned on top of that metal bracket, and then we're going to secure it to the bracket using the center hole. Okay, then we can put the blue and black connectors together and secure those two to the metal frame using the hole to the right of the one we just used for the harness. Like so. And the same thing with the red and yellow connectors on the left. And when doing this, we need to make sure that we include those two cables, these two cables, in the zip tie so that they're not sticking out. Otherwise, they'll hit the metal frame as the massage mechanism goes up and down. like so. So you can see these are all in here nice and snug on the frame, and these cables are all in there tight, not sticking out this way. Now we're ready to place that horizontal metal frame piece into position at the top with the curved pieces facing forward. And replace the 2 screws to secure it. Okay, once those are nice and tight, we can replace the 2 screws on each side of that metal frame. Next, we need to replace the 3 side screws on each side that secure the plastic backrest frame to the metal frame. Now, when doing this, first check to make sure the screw holes are lined up. If they're not lined up, then you'll need to loosen up these top 2 screws, and so you can adjust it enough so the screw holes are lined up. Once they're lined up, also it's important not to use a power drill for this step. And it's imperative that the screw goes straight into the hole. Otherwise, we'll end up breaking the inserts in the backrest frame, and that is not repairable. So screw that screw straight into the hole with the manual screwdriver. Now we're ready to install the upper backrest. To do that, we're going to align the slot here in the upper backrest with this bracket. And then also, you'll notice each side has these 2 brackets, and those align with these 2 posts on the side. So we're aligning 3 different things. So we can kind of hold the backrest in position. Focus really on one side is easiest, kind of hold it level, but focus on aligning those 3 elements on one side and getting those in place. And then you can kind of slide the other side, should slide into position. So you can see there's a bit of trial and error in this process. There we go. So when it looks like that on both sides, then we know we're in position. So next, if you have a chair with a serial number that is lower than RT2619, you're going to have your speaker wires here that you disconnected when you removed the upper backrest. We need to reconnect those now. And on the other side. Now we're ready to replace the screws inside the little pockets at the top of the backrest. These screws it's really important that the screw holes are perfectly aligned. So look in there, and if necessary, kind of jostle the side panel and the backrest around until those holes are perfectly lined up. And again, it's really important that the screw goes straight into this hole. So paying attention to those things, replace that screw, and be very careful not to drop the screw into the chair. It's easy to do. These screws are a little difficult to get in because of the tight workspace. If you don't put the screw straight in, what's going to happen is you'll be able to get it in partially, but it won't go all the way, and then the side panel is going to be loose. Next, we'll zip the backrest pad to the plastic backrest frame. Now moving to the back of the chair, we can replace the 2 rear screws that secure the upper backrest. Next, we'll reconnect the speaker connectors and then tuck them into that indentation in the upper backrest, like so. And finally, we're ready to reinstall the back cover. To do this, we need to notice these tabs here, and then you can see in the back there's 2 corresponding slots. These tabs need to go into those slots. So the first step is to do that. Once those tabs are in those slots, we can slowly raise the back cover, but don't go too fast because we need to avoid running this into here and scratching the upholstery. This is actually kind of extended, so we need to push in on the sides of the plastic as we raise it up and then tuck those tabs on the side of the plastic into the upholstery to avoid damaging the upholstery. And finally on the top, you'll notice there's 3 sets of balls and sockets here that need to be aligned. They should basically be aligned by this point already, but make sure those are aligned and then snap those into place. And finally, we're ready to install the screws that secure the back cover. It's important to just visually make sure those screw holes are aligned really well before you install any screws. And if they're not, that means one of the 3 steps we just completed did not go well. Likely culprit is as you were adjusting the middle or the top of the backrest cover, the slot may have come out of the tab on the bottom, which will allow it to move out of alignment. So if the screw holes aren't lined up, you kind of have to start from square one and check the alignment of all those 3 steps. But once they're all aligned, we can start installing the 6 screws to secure it. Okay, then we can plug in the chair, power it on, and confirm that the massage mechanism is working properly.